First clip here, first few clips actually, we're going to be talking about some halfback play, especially in our hold coverage, so our hold zone. So talking cover three stuff here. Halfbacks, of course, in the hold coverage are going to be our low player in the zone. So how it's going to end up looking out here is our boundary half. Ooh, let me get the drawing right. There we go. So our boundary half here is going to end up being the low player on the boundary side in the zone. Okay, and then our corner is off the ball playing high, right? Splitting the verticals between 1 and 2. So that's kind of the basis in terms of just the scheme. In terms of technique and how we want our guys to actually play it here. So what we're going to see from our halfback here, we like to try and get a jam or a redirect on the slot back when we have our hold coverage called. Reason being that when we have our hold, our corner is going to be forced to sometimes split vertical routes. So if both number one here, right, and the slot back, okay, end up running just two straight up verticals down the field, our corner is going to have to actually split and play in between them, not committing to either guy down the field. So we want to be able to get our halfback, okay, to try and disrupt this player, either get him to get off of his line just by shuffling, moving our feet, trying to stay in front of him, force him to avoid us, or by actually getting our hands on, getting our body into it a little bit, and getting physical with that player. So we see, let the clip run a bit. Okay, so the reason here why we don't end up actually getting hands on is because, as we can see again, the whole point of this is we just want to redirect this guy's route. Okay, so as long as he's not able to get that pure straight speed release right up the field, we've done a decent job as our halfback, and then we can get into our drop. So you see here, okay, he's starting to fade outside, and then he gives him that head fake to work back across. Okay, we don't want our guys to have to, work out and then just on this little head fake work back in to try and get super physical with it, okay, to then get back out to their zone, right? So when we're a hold halfback, the biggest key is that we're the lowest outside zone in the coverage. So at a certain point, we have to be able to cover from, where we started lined up all the way out to the sideline if necessary. So just forcing that receiver to release us to the inside. Okay, it's going to push him more towards the safety help. Okay, get him off of his line and can allow our corner to have a little bit of an easier job there.
Yes, sir. And that's something that I talk about in the low zone course also. If the receiver does a slant or a super radical inside release, or if he's just running really slow, you don't want to just waste your time because they're trying to just pull you in and hit a quick shot outside. So when you recognize things like that, see it, and then just get into that expand right away.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then the second real key point. So after you've worked whether it's a jam or you forced him off his line or whatever that may be, the second key part of when we're talking about, especially our low zone coverage.
Hey, hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you want to be elite, we train defensive backs and work with DB coaches around the world on our app Lockdown Academy. This has everything you need all in one place. Go to defensiveback.com to learn more, or just click the link in our bio and join now.
Key part of when we're talking about, especially our low zone coverage, is always making sure that we're working our eyes. Really, any zone type coverage. Key for defensive backs is always going to be your eyes, where you put your eyes, what you're looking at, what you're reading. Allows you to anticipate the plays faster and just gives you more information in terms of where you should be positioning your body on the field. So if we're watching number 24 here, okay, he's getting to the second part of his drop now, okay, and he gets his eyes back, right? He just wants to peek back and see, is there any threat that I'm going to eventually be able to be playable to that I can start to get underneath? Okay, so again, halfbacks are all of our low zones in the coverage here, right? So these three players right here, okay, we want to be underneath all of these vertical or intermediate type routes. Okay, we don't need to get our drop to get all the way back here to this guy's hip and play directly underneath him. We just want to be, in that window so that if the quarterback was to throw the ball to one of these guys, okay, we're going to be on that path to the ball, right? If we end up dropping too far deep to him, it can give the receiver sometimes the opportunity to undercut us and get back in front. We don't want to do that, right? We're the low zone, so we want to stay underneath those. Okay, so we see 24 here again. He's getting out. Quick peek back. Okay, he sees that his two guys are still working vertically. Okay, so now he's going to get his eyes a little bit more towards the quarterback. Okay, now he sees the ball's getting thrown kind of on a trajectory going over his head, so he can expect that one of those guys behind him is now stopped up. Okay, and he's able to get underneath this throw. Okay, great job, especially in terms of just overall technique, being able to high point this ball. Okay, trying to get it at its highest point, right up in the air, not just backpedaling towards the receiver to where that receiver can again potentially undercut the throw and have an opportunity to play the ball there. Okay, and he picks this one off, so that's a good job of our halfback playing the hold. Okay, and then eventually being able to play a route that is breaking off and is still kind of outside of where he is in his drop, right? More towards the sideline. Okay, again, with our hold halfbacks, we have to be able to cover kind of all this space in here. Okay, and then be underneath anything else getting in behind that.
Yeah, and especially if you're in that low zone and you see the ball coming without knowing exactly where the receiver is, that's when you really got to make sure you attack it because he might be sprinting back to the football and trying to catch it before you, even trying to punch it out of your hands. So just always remember, like you can see here with this T shape, we just got to attack it and really high point the balls.
Okay, another just little point I'm noticing here as well, right? Anytime when we get our hands on the ball and we pick one off, now we've just turned into an offensive player. Very important that we secure the football here. So especially in this situation where he's gone up to high point it, right? He's left himself a little bit exposed, okay? And he pulls that thing right to his chest right away. So again, that receiver coming in from behind, he can't see him coming. Okay, he could have maybe potentially got his hand in there, punched that ball out, forced a fumble, or had it just called incomplete. Okay, because he gets that ball right to his chest. Okay, he secured it, and we've made a positive play for the defense. Okay, so now still talking hold the halfback. So now we're just working our field halfback here, looking on the opposite side. Okay, but again, similar in terms of just technique. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit of a different read. Okay, so the last clip we had our guy just trying to work vertical, right? Where we're trying to disrupt, jam, force him off his line. Okay, now we're getting a guy working outside. Okay, so still in the direction we want to get our drop to, but he's breaking it off in front of us. Okay, so what I see, especially with a lot of younger players or guys maybe newer to the position, when they get this type of look from the offense, okay, they just know, hey, I'm the hold player, I'm a low guy in the zone, right? I have a low guy working outside in my zone. So again, this is kind of the area that you'd be responsible for. We have a threat working outside in this, and they want to just come down and just take this guy right away and just sit on his hip and be able to say, hey, I did my job. I covered my receiver there. Okay, that's exactly what the offense wants you to do, right? Always think from the offense's perspective, right? They want to create big plays, right? They want to have explosive passes in their passing game. They don't want to always throw that just, check down, make the smart throws and march down the field slowly. They want to create some big plays for themselves. Okay, so we see here from the offense, we're getting a low route to the outside, trying to pull our half down so that they can hit the dig route right now behind it, where they can, complete that for 10, 15 yards at a time. Okay, so whenever we get that out working in front of us still, we want to still get our drop more on that 45. Okay, so that we're leveraged. Okay, and by leverage, we mean that if they were to throw this one, we still have a good angle to keep this one and turn it back inside. Okay, so we're going on our 45-degree angle here, keeping outside leverage to our low threat. Okay, but that's going to allow us to still cover up this window right here as well and be in that intermediate throw window. Okay, so as we see, right, at this point, this is a great job just playing between the routes. Okay, you're playable to multiple throws. Whichever decision the quarterback makes, right, we're able to still have a good play for the defense. Okay, he tries to force this one into the dig window. And again, we're able to just fall off our route, play the ball now. Okay, good job to try to, jump up and high point it. But to my point earlier, okay, we would want him to try and, jump kind of get up in the air right from where he is right here, right? Not continue to fade back to where the receiver could then potentially try to come underneath, okay, and be the first one at the ball. Okay, but good job, still elevating, right? He's able to use his body to shield the other receiver. Okay, we come down with the interception here as well.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. I had that one in the low zone course I made. That was one of the T-shaped clips. Great job leveraging it, understanding to not drive the bait, know what the offense is trying to do with the route in behind you, sitting in between the routes, read the quarterback, then go and make the play.
Yeah. So right there, those first two clips we saw, two examples of low halfback play. One where we're able to get to a route that's still outside of us in our low zone, and one where we're folding back in with one that's trying to wrap us to the inside. Both great job by the halfback there, both coming down with the interception. Now here's just a third scenario. Okay, so we're looking to the boundary again here. Okay, so on this side, right, we have the hold structure again. So our corner's high, our halfback's low. Okay, but now we're getting what we call a quick game or spacing concept where we're seeing all five receivers all running, short, quick routes. What the offense is trying to do here, this was a 1st and 10. They're just trying to, flood our low zones, right? Trying, five low routes. We have four low zone defenders. By those numbers, they should have somebody getting open for a quick throw. Just try and get, 4 or 5 yards, stay ahead of the sticks. So this is a little bit of a different technique that we can play in our hold zone as well. So again, we're not really as concerned with the jam here. This is a situation where we want to be able to play in between these two routes, and we're more reading the quarterback. There's multiple different situations and times where our guys might be doing this. Okay, and what we want to do in that situation is really we're more reading the quarterback. Okay, and you see a lot of this more. I find in American football, there's some Canadian style defenses that are doing the same thing where DBs and zone players are reading the quarterback and their drop, how many steps their drop is to give them kind of clues of when to break or what type of route concept is coming. As opposed to more reading the receivers. So here we're looking at the quarterback. Okay, as soon as he gets this snap, pretty quick set. Okay, and then we're really just reading their shoulders. Okay, what angle are their shoulders pointing towards? Wherever the shoulder is pointing is really going to tell you, where they're trying to throw the ball, who their target's going to be. So if we're thinking from a player on the boundary side here, looking towards the quarterback, if he can see more of the quarterback's chest, right, his chest is opened up towards him, that means the ball is probably coming out, more towards the sideline, right, going really wide, okay, because his front shoulder is really leading his throw. If he was turned the opposite way, and this player here could see more of his back, right? This left shoulder was more pointing over here. Then we would know that he's reading the opposite side of the field first. Okay, so right away he sees those shoulders turned out to the sideline, and then our second big key is watching, and this goes for all of our zone coverage players. The same thing for a safety in a cover three or any other high zone player. When we see that front hand, okay, so if we're looking at the quarterback here, try and zoom it in a little bit. When we see that front hand leave the ball, that's when we know we're good to trigger ourselves and start to break to where we think he's throwing the ball, right? Usually when we see quarterbacks, give that pump fake, it's not like a full hand coming off the ball and giving that full throwing motion. Some guys can do that, but it's really really difficult to do. Especially with the Canadian football, that's like a little bit a little bit bigger, feels a little bit bigger in your hands. Okay, so when we see that front hand come off, that's a really, really strong indicator that that ball's coming out, within the next half second or so. Okay, so when we do that, we can start to break right away. Okay, right here, if we're looking again just at the halfback, he never really gets his eyes to the receiver because he knows he can just play this ball the full way. He thinks he has a good jump on this, a good read, especially being near the sideline. He knows that this quarterback doesn't have a lot of space to continue to lead his receiver towards the outside, right? They're going to run out of grass there. Okay, so he can just undercut this the whole way, almost gets there, still gets a hand on it. But doing stuff like this, like if we're just a half step earlier, a little bit faster out of our break, this can be an easy one where we're underneath the low routes and we pick this thing off, and it's a pretty clear path right down to the end zone, making that game changing play for the defense.
I really like what you said with reading the quarterback in terms of his shoulder. If you see lots of his chest, he's probably throwing it that way. If you see his back, he's turned away. Because sometimes in the heat of the moment, everything's going quick, you're making different reads, and then it just might be hard to see everything. But that, as a coaching cue, just keeping it simple like that, that's perfect. Because you look at him quickly and you know if you see his chest or back, and then it's just that it's a lot quicker to process that. I like that.
Yeah, and like you get a great look of it here, from the tight. I remember when I was younger, they always would say like read the quarterback's eyes. But the higher levels you get, and when you get players that are playing at a little bit of a higher level, a little bit more advanced in terms of their learning, they're able to just turn their eyes and turn their head pretty quickly, and look you off, force you to go one way and throw it back the other way. So really, the shoulders is a much better indicator. It's going to be a lot harder for a guy to have his shoulders turned one way and throw it the opposite, and throw you off in that way. And if they are really changing where they're looking in their vision, the shoulders are always going to follow that, because that's above the base of their feet and their hips. So if we see from the tight here, right? You see he catches the ball, never really allows his left shoulder to start to point up the field at all, right? He kind of has it pointed right to the sideline, to the boundary the whole way. And then again, when we see that front hand come off and that ball come off his chest, that would be the indicator for everybody to go break to the ball. So even if we're looking at, our free safety here, number 22, he's reading the quarterback as well in this one. So again, we see when that front hand comes off, okay, he's able to break and get a good jump and get out of there pretty quickly. Okay, so that's pretty much three good clips for teach tape for halfbacks and hold zones. So we had a few where we're working on more jam and redirect, getting underneath the intermediate routes, showing good examples of guys getting underneath routes, working towards the outside on a comeback, or routes trying to wrap them towards the middle of the field on the dig, and then also a good example of what to do when you have multiple low routes in your zone, right? You want to try and play in between them, read the quarterback. Okay, look at the shoulders, and then when we see that front hand come off, right, we're ready to drive and try and make that big play.
Yeah, those are awesome examples, especially for guys who are playing in high school or just not at the same level of football, depending on coaching or resources wherever you are in the world. It's so valuable to hear that and see those different examples, because normally if it's low zone, it's like, hey, zone, I'm high or low, maybe I'm robbing in the middle, but you may not learn all those intricacies, where the receiver goes, how it's going to change your drop, when exactly you should break, when you don't have to jam. So that's awesome stuff right there. Hey, hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure if you haven't already, you head over to defensiveback.com and join Lockdown Academy. It's our all-in-one app for defensive backs and DB coaches, and our members absolutely love it. They use the field training programs to improve their skills, video courses to learn all about the game and improve football IQ, athletic training programs to get stronger and faster. There's clinics on there. There's resources to help you get recruited. Everything you need is in one place at defensiveback.com.